Hi, story time. Years ago, I was about 5 years old, and they called this person, his name was Joe. But Joe was a demon. He was a horrifying demon. You never knew because he looked human. And this is the way the story goes. I had met this in a little country town. Can't tell you the name of the town. Some people still go there and walk through it. They keep the town up. Nobody lives there, but people, ancestors come back and they keep the town, up. And they have these mannequins sometimes look lifelike to like people that used to live there. And so this what happened years ago. It was in a little country school. A little country school with children, different nationalities. And one day this little boy, I think, not little boy, he was probably about 14 years old. He was walking in a classroom where there was, black and white kids. There were. It was segregated. It was segregated. And he had on his black stuff on his face trying to look black. But what this teenager didn't know, that Joe is a demon. And he and Joe felt like he marked him, making fun of him. See, Joe was a demon. In each eye, he had three pupils in each eye. Three pupils. And so this little boy was making fun, laughing at him, calling him different names and joking and going on. And he had this Confederate flag. This Confederate flag. So what happened? The little boy, him and his six friends go around and, in the black neighborhood making fun, causing problems like they always do, destroying property, burning things. And sheriff and the marshal wouldn't do nothing about it. So one day, Joe, which is this little boy I was telling you about, 14 years old, him and his friend went on a farm, and this man had 7 brothers and 4 sisters. And he had a watermelon farm. And Joe went up there, him and his friends started destroying the man, destroying his watermelon. And the man came out with a gun. They had a gun too, now. Let me make sure that is right. They had a gun also in this little. So what happened, the man said, "Get off my property." And he said, "What?" And he shot at the man. And this man and his brothers came out that door with rifles. And they tried to run. Joe and his friend tried to run. But see, they was causing all kinds of problems, burning down people's property, beating up innocent people, stealing it and blaming, telling lies on other people. They were nothing but a nuisance in society. And so what happened? The demon kind of sensed this. This is what happened. Because see, if you don't have a spiritual eye, you have a sense. You got 6 senses, but some people can see things that other people can't see. It doesn't make them crazy. They just have that senses in their mind that's open up, and they wouldn't go in a certain place. And so this how Joe got killed. And he was shooting, and the other guys, they made it to this truck with the little wooden bag, back in the day, And Joe, he almost made it. The man blew his head exploded. And so, well, I said about 10 hours later, the sheriff and the marshal came out there. Um, they looked at him and said, I forgot the man's name, because I used to know Joe. I used to know him. We were kids. I had to go in that little country town and spend time with my cousins. We used to go in the little river, that beautiful river with a tree on it. Water was beautiful back then. I know Joe when I was 5 years old. Joe. And and what happened? Let's get back to Joe. And they had exhumed the body and stuff like that. They had people to come out there and get his brain matter up and stuff out of the off the farm and stuff like that. And the farmer was within his right to protect his farm. And so they picked up the pieces and they took him to the mold. They didn't put his head back together again. I don't know. His mother, I guess, had cremated or something like that. I think they had that back then that day. And what happened? I think this was on a Friday. It was on a Friday. And it was Friday at it was Friday in May the 20th. Friday, May the 20th, 1925. 1925. Hmm. And and after they cremated Joe, he didn't have too big a funeral. He had much of a family. And one day, let's speed it up. Let's go a couple years up now. It happened in 1925. Now, 10 years later, his friend, you know, they were 14 at the time. They were close in their 20s now, 20, 21, something like that. And they was at this bar in a country town there. They was at this bar. And they was drinking and cussing and telling racial jokes and telling lies on people and all the bad things done. It was funny to them and how they destroyed people's life and got other people locked up for nothing. And they was laughing about that. But what happened, Joe used to wear a black face in the school. Remember I told you that? A black face. That was a no-no. Because, see, a demon by the same name they called Joe came up, and spiritually he couldn't see him. He had 3 pupils in each eye. Very angry. And so this is what happened. They was up there laughing, then Joe walked past the glass. And one of his friends said, "There goes Joe." And they turned, they stopped drinking, and his other friend dropped and broke the glass. Joe is dead. Joe been dead for years. How in the world could he? We went to his funeral. He was burned. They cremated him. And they did. You know, so Joe stopped. His spirit, that's what it was. Stopped. Because this demon that Joe had made a mockery out of wearing a black face, was offended. And he used Joe's spirit, his body, to come back, to seek other people. And he stopped right there. People can see him just as clear as I'm looking at you right now. And Joe was standing up there, had his some pants and a shirt on. Just, I think, with blue pants and a brown shirt or something like that. And one of his friends ran outside and said, Joe, it couldn't be you. And it never looked at him. And his other friend inside the bar, he had a heart attack. Because when he opened his eyes, when Joe, that demon, opened his eyes, he looked right at him. And he fell dead. And the other 4 went crazy mentally, up in here, mentally crazy. They was mentally crazy. And it was very horrifying for other people. They never forgot that. They never talked about it. But on that day that Joe was killed, he always come back on that day. The day that he was killed on that farm, the watermelon farm. He go back down. And when he get to that certain part where his body was found, when the police came, not the police, but the sheriff and the marshal came, he disappeared. And like I said, he used to all the time mess with black people, call them and tell lies, get them shot, have their property took, have their organs cut off them and laugh about it, talk about it. That was Joe. And he always wore blackface and laughed and made a mockery out of it. And went on, he had burned some people's homes down. And they wouldn't do nothing about it. So he was always a nuisance in society. But what happened, when he went to that school that day with that black face, what happened that that demon was right there. He'd be there on Halloween, he'd be there on certain days. When people make a marker and do something, wear a mask or something like that, they say, "You trying to make a marker of me." That's what it would say. Well, it was sounded like in a horrifying, "You tried to make it," something like that. It was horrifying. And a lot of times these kids had got away with things. And they had this, what is that? They call it a federal flag. I don't know what they call it. And a rope. Because Joe used to ride around in them in that truck with a rope and a federal flag, harassing black people. They used to laugh about it, talk about it, and terrorize and did all stupid things and got away with it. Because they feel it was their right to terrorize and talk about people because they wanted to. But that demon took Joe's identity and used it against the other ones, his friends. That's what all his friends were dead. After 10 years, they all died. They was horrified. And, but see, this is why I say I used to know Joe. Because Joe was that demon. Joe told me the story. See, people can't tell a story unless something bring it to them. He introduced me to Joe. That's right. And sometimes you can sit talking to people and you think that's a real person. And you don't see that person no more. People don't believe this. They think it's insane. They think it's stupid. They think it's crazy. But demons come in different forms. They can be just as gorgeous. They can be old or young. People make a mark. People make fun and laugh at this. And he told me, he said, look, he said, this demon's not a mean person. That's what he called him, person. Because he looked at human. He go around everybody that committed a crime against other people. That demon will go there and will live in a house. Sometimes if you're walking or if you're in your home or you're riding a bus or you're by yourself and your hair stand up on your arm, that means a demon is present there to you. He's there. Open the door. That's what they call, not poltergeist. What is this? You go down, you upstairs, you hear dishes breaking, drawers open. Yeah. His name not Joe, but there's different demons that walk in the earth, and people don't even believe that. They're not aware of that. But see, these demons was created by that black face they used to wear. It's not a good idea because, see, it's not a good idea on Halloween. It's not a good idea to mark people wearing a black face, laughing and running and enjoying yourself. So I can do what I want to do. I'm racist. I do this. I say that. I get somebody hurt or killed. I can get them locked up because of Joe. Well, what I did, I didn't conquer Joe. Joe had been around for about 400 or 500 years. He had been around. I call him because I respect him as a person, not as a demon. Because he can come in any form of a person and collect your soul. But I kind of feel sorry for the Joe, the 14-year-old. He was taught that by his parents. Taught to be ignorant, taught to disrespect people, taught that he can shoot somebody or break the window, set their property fire, and they get pat on the back and be rewarded. Joe, And I really felt bad for him. Because he didn't know what he was getting into. And that's what cost him his life. Sometimes people don't believe that demon leads you to death. Because, see, they need a lot of people in hell. Hell is big enough to come back right now and at least get about 200 or 300 million people or 100 million people. Satan sent them out there. I kid you not. That's why I have always been nice to people. People say something to me, I overlook it because I pray about it and I let God take care of them. And prayers do work. I pray 5 hours a day. But what happened, this is what happened now. I noticed this 10 years ago. This is what happened. A lady, a couple of years, some ladies that pray, God, show these people as they are. You know, these people that do bad things, that tell lies, that get people hurt, get their property tough, who think they tough and they can talk to people in the way they want it and they wouldn't suffer for it. People used to hurt people, hang people, mistreat people. Let other people justify it as wrong, make it look like it's okay and it's right. And There's some horrifying things been happening. One time, this police had done something bad, and this person had showed up in the back of his car. He said, "What you doing in my goddamn car? You this, that." You know how they disrespect people and, say these horrible things, and somebody pat them on the back because they feel like they've done something really good. And this girl, she just sit back there. Her eyes was closed. And he got in the car, and she wasn't there no more. And then one of his fellow racist friends said, it's just one of them ends in the back of the car. Maybe to come back to, to see how you're doing and stuff like that, making jokes out of it, causing all these problems. These people that cause all these problems. And, well, he got in his car because he was kind of scared. Mm-hmm. Don't never think you do something to somebody or take someone's life, they don't come back for you. Oh, they come back. Before on your deathbed, while you laying there, they come back looking at you. Well, they said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry. And then the person that he was telling that, the nurse he telling that, said, that's your problem. And see, when you die, they go rip you to pieces. You go feel it. And you go feel it. Trust me. And anyway, this police got in a car and started driving. He kept looking back in the rearview mirror because he thought about all the low-down, dirty lies and the things that he had done and hurt people. And got away with it. And he got to a certain part, a red light, and it was about around 11 o'clock at night. 11 o'clock at night. And that woman appeared. It was a little girl, 8 years old. He had ran her over. And they didn't do anything about it. And they used to stand and laugh and say, get them on her, they'll scrape the head up and whatever, and laugh at them and do horrifying things. And what happened, the family got her up and they washed the blood. And while they was up there laughing and joking and doing all this stuff. And they prepared up a burial. And they fixed her up really nice. And they buried her. They didn't take her to the graveyard. They buried her in the backyard. They wanted to be close to her. And 6 months later, her spirit came back. The Hunters police. And he was at this bend. It was bending. Everybody was at home at this red light. And she appeared again. And he looked up there. And when she appeared, she jumped out at him. And you can tell her head was still the same, crushed and everything. Her eyes was red. Her pupils were red, not her eyes, but her pupil was red. And she jumped out. She jumped on the back seat to grab him, and she said, you took my life, you racist animal, and I come back to seek revenge. And that police put his foot on that brake. No, he wasn't a police. He was, what you call them people back then? I meant no disrespect. But what you call them back then? They called sheriff or deputy. And he stepped on that gas and went right into some type of wall. Just a wall. And he was ejected from it. And when you looked at him, the same way he did this little girl, that's the way he turned out to be. It's so many horrifying true stories out there that sometimes you figure out where you get that story from. What happened? These spirits bring you these stories. They tell you about these stories. You don't just get them just like that. No, they pass through just like you're sitting in a graveyard with a Ouija board. The people, I told this story about 10, 11 years ago on my Facebook years ago. And this woman was sitting in this graveyard. She had some type of board. And spirit walked by her. She said, where are you going? She said, I'm going to seek revenge on my death. And people would pass by there and tell their story about what happened to them, to her. Each of those spirits would tell their story from the graveyard. What happened, what happened. And she was in fear because she was a very spiritual woman. And they would stop and tell the story, how they died, how they was murdered, and I'm going back to seek my revenge. And one said, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go and live in their house, and they're not going to even know it. And I'm going to sit with them, ride with them, talk with them. So you can't see spirit, but they see you. But if your hair ever stand up on your arms, you better know that it's a spirit, that your ancestor, a person that once was a human, murdered. And they stayed with that family until all of them died. And they was waiting on them because they knew when they was going to take their last breath. And some people ask, well, how you come up with these stories? I don't come up with them. I don't come up with them. If you can research my Facebook 10, 11 years ago, I didn't come up with no story. It's just spirit that come by and tell me about it. That's how I'm able to tell them stories, because they'll come by and they'll tell you, he said, how you create that? And see, it took me a long time to figure out how in the world did I create that. It was spirits that came into my mind, came into my life. They see that I like to write little funny stories, but they want me to tell their stories. There's a lot of horrifying stories that out there. Let me tell you something. When I was about 4 years old, I was at the hospital, Greater Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. I think we went to see somebody in the family that was sick. And I was walking on the right side. I was about 4 or 5 years old, somewhere down. Probably a little younger, 3 or 4 years old. I never forgot this. They had these Klan men. It was 6 of them. The doctor was rushing them down. They had their hoods on. It was a big man. First one I saw, I stopped and looked because I never seen anything like that before. This is not a story. This is the truth. This was in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was a black, white, Chinese, Hispanic doctor trying to save his life. I don't know if they had a riot. I don't know if they was fighting against each other. I don't know what happened. But see, I was a little girl, and I remember that just as clear as day. And he was rolling, and this man was cut from one side of his stomach to the other side. They had six of them rolling them in. One was shot. You can see the bone in his arm. And one was, I don't know, stabbed. They were just bringing them in. And they was rolling. Blood was all on the floor in the hospital. Oh, blood was all on the floor. I don't know what happened that day. See, like I said, I was 3 or 4 years old. And I remember just like yesterday, that man's stomach was cut open. And his eyes were just widening. I never forgot that. I think that was I was born in 59. So I was between 3 or 4 years old. And I never forgot that man. He was trying to breathe. His stomach cut open, and they was pumping him, and they was trying to keep that, keep his stomach closed up so his gut and stuff won't fall out. And these was Ku Klux Klan men. And about me being a child, my mother would try to, shield me from seeing it, but you can't unsee that. And I said to myself years ago, when I was 5 years old, I could sit on this porch. My stepfather worked at the Humane Society. I had to sit on that porch all by myself. And you can see things. You can see things, and you don't have to travel. You have to go nowhere, because the spirit, they bring it to you. They bring it to you. You can see it. I had to sit on the steps. I had to see things. And I never said a word. But on my Facebook years ago, 10 to 11 years ago, I told stories, different types of stories. Horror story. And this name of the story I told was, "Would you like to ride in my limousine?" And I seen it on somebody that stole it, because they closed the page down. They stole out my story, and I had to reopen something there. They took everything that I wrote and took it off. And I'm telling you, I had those good things out there. It's not a good idea to mistreat people or make it hard for people, because this comes back to hunt you or your loved ones. And them spirits not going to leave you. They're going to be right there. They're going to be right there walking up and down the street with you, and you're not going to even know it. Oh, yeah, let me tell you, oh, my leg, excuse me, y'all. Let me tell you about this horrifying story. I didn't make this up. It's something that was brought to me by another spirit. That was about 11, 12 years ago. And it would tell me. And he would show me in a dream. These men and women used to go in in the 1920s. They used to go in the wood and eat and, and dance and all that stuff. And burn fire with little crosses and stuff like that. And, just like, oh, it's a lot of, oh, God, a lot of it come back. A lot of them things come back. And they were walking down in a wood one day, some people, and the graveyard shook. They said the graveyard, just like an earthquake, just shook, but wasn't nothing disturbed. And so they went into a passageway that these people used to go to and do these, things, eat and dance and burn crosses and stuff like that. And they looked up on the tree. They seen heads with white stuff on them. Well, white stuff, I guess the sheets or something like that. And blood was just dripping down. It was I think about 10 or 15 of them. 10 or 15 of them, people. And they seen this. Well, see what happened when you go back to a certain event at that time. Say it was April the 12th at 11 o'clock. When you go back on that same day, that point pick, that same hour, you'll see that. Every April on that day, at the same time, you'll see all these horrible things. And they had about like thousands of heads up there just dripping blood. And these people, one man had a camera trying to take a picture of it, and when he did, he looked at it with nothing there. And let's see this other one. I can't. Let's see what this other something else happened. I'm trying to think. Yeah, these children. They were black. It was hundreds of them. And 30 years ago, the spirits had came back. These children that died in the 1800s. The story was told, and they were walking when they passed a post. So, you walk and you pass a post or a bus stop, they would turn from black children to white children. And the reason that they said they would do that, to seek their revenge of people who took their life and destroyed their family life. And they passed by this post, they become from black children. You couldn't see them, but they still were there. When they passed that post, they become curly-haired little white children with blue eyes, green eyes, brown eyes. And up here, and so you was able to see them. But these were demons coming back to seek revenge from the family that took their lives. And their family life and destroyed their lives. And they said, oh, you so cute. You so cute. Oh, you're a beautiful little girl. Look at your hair. And what happened, this is what they would do. Look at you like this over there. So my mother fixed my hair. My mother. Oh, and they would give them money. I mean, this was, I think, the 80s, close to the 90s they did that. That happened. And the children, when they passed that post, they spirit turned from black to white children. And this is true. And they would go out into the world. That's what they said. They would go out into the world and seek revenge of the people who destroyed their family life, who hurt them, who hung them, who beat them, who took their property, who destroyed their life. Yeah. One little girl said, and no, it was a little boy. It was a little boy in that group. They was everywhere before you knew it. And this little boy had long brown hair, green eyes. But see, that was a demon. It was a demon. And they come back, to seek revenge. And he told this little lady, he said, why you out here? I said, because I'm trying to find a job. He said, you're just about 6 or 5 years old. I still had to work. I had to go out and look for a job to help my mama. Because some people burned our house down and killed my granddad and my grandmama. He said, you poor little thing. But see, she couldn't see that. She couldn't see that the demon for what he was. He couldn't see that. He came back to find the same people who destroyed his life. And they walk around, and they find him too. They found him. They would ask questions. Do you know Mr. So-and-so? Yeah, he used to live down there about 60 years ago. Is he still living? Is he still living? He said, I think yeah, wait a minute, he's about 90 years old. And I want to take him some roses. Mm. And, that little demon took some roses all right. Whoa. He took some roses all right. He sure did. When they went down there, that man was mutilated. He was mutilated. Only thing that you can see was his head. And his eyes was like, mm-hmm. And so, this little boy, let's get back to this little boy. He said, you can't work, you're too young. Oh, I can work. I can work. I put up, things in the grocery store. I can sweep the floor. I can pick up boxes. I can work. That's right. But these children came back to seek revenge. Every year, they walk from their graves and they would meet up. And every time they passed a certain post, a building, they was transformed. I mean, they just to another form of life, another child that didn't exist. And a lot of them did get the chance to seek revenge. And this lady, I think it was in 2009, she used to pray all the time. Her and her friends used to pray all the time. Lord God, allow these people to come back to seek revenge. But Lord, please do me one favor. Let people see them as they are. That's what this lady was saying. That mean people now today, and they know who to deal with. And once you see these people, this and I hate these ends. I'm gonna make trouble for these ends. This and that, always a problem, always. And that's why people, and you still can see them today, walking down the street. I had spotted one of these demons, very angry. It's not a good idea to make fun of people. It's not a good idea to terrorize people, because once one of these demons spots you, he will come and visit you. They're around you now. You can be walking. It's thousands, if not millions. They leave their grave. They are seeking revenge. They're seeking revenge for what people done to them. They point them out. See, when they come out and show themselves as they are, this is what happened. They live in a house. They sleep there. They cause disturbance. They cause problems. But like I said, there's so many horrifying stories out there that are true. One time, this man, he was a Hispanic man. I think 50 years ago, he was beaten to death by some white kids, and there was no justice. They told lies on he did and he that. He walked in front of my car, and we got a shot him because we thought he didn't have no gun. An innocent man. The man, you know how old he was? He was 90 years old when they done that to him. And his soul came back and transferred into a demon. Very angry. And these same people that caused him his life, each and every one of them are dead today. He lived in that house. He got into their family. Spirits, once you go to sleep, your spirit jump out. The other spirit jumped in. And when one of his family members woke up that next day, he said, I forgot his name, Bill or something. He said, Bill, why you act like that yesterday? And he couldn't understand that. What did I do? And they told him what he done. He couldn't believe that. Because, see, that was not his spirit. His spirit was out. And, see, his spirit came back in after he committed the bad crime that he committed. He ran over 5 people. And sit up there and drunk and look and laughed about it. And, like I said, these spirits started coming back. A lot of them send them back, and they sit back in the police car, just sitting beside, just looking at them, just like I'm looking at you. But their eyes wasn't like ours. They had 3 pupils in each eye. You can see them, but they can see you. Sometimes you feel a chill, cold chill, and it's 90 degrees. Or you see something from the corner of your eye. Sometimes you think your brain acting up, but no. These are spirits that back to seek revenge of their loved ones, or seek their revenge for justice, which they did not get. And that's kind of horrifying. But some people are very spiritual, and they don't pay that no attention. It's scary now. Just like, oh yeah, I used to tell the story 11 years ago. The story I told. These people was in church, and the demons fell from the church ceiling. And when they hit the ground, once their feet hit the church ground, they turned into humans, and they went out into the world. So, like I said, when you do people wrong, these spirits come back for you. Some people think they loved one when they pass away that they live a happy life. Oh, no. When they die, they were smiling because see the person that they hurt or killed was standing right there waiting on them till he take his and her last breath. You going with me? You going with me? That's right. You going with me? And it was waiting on it. And like I said, when they put their hands on you, when you die, you feel that. Just like if you're alive, you feel like these knives, these guns, the punches, the choking, you feel that for eternity. And they take you back. They take you back and show you your life. When you was a baby, until all the crimes you committed, they let you see that each and every day of your life for eternity. This is why I call myself purgatory. Purgatory is a horrible thing to go. Judgment Day, boy. Purgatory. Like I said, everybody, I don't care what nationality you are, has mistreated people, they coming back. If you're shot and hurt somebody, they coming back. They gonna be in that cell with you. On your dying, when you take your last breath, that's when they gonna come after you and rip you to shreds. And each and every day of your life, I don't care how old you are, each and every day of your life, not your life, but your eternal life, they gonna take you back. And you gonna live there, keep living there round and around when you shot, when you kill, when you rape. When you shot, when you kill, when you rape. They're going to show you doing that for eternity. They're going to show you everything that you done bad, everything you done wrong. They're going to show you when you thought you was tough, thought you was bad, and when you done something. Never. I would never, ever do anything like that. Because sometimes when you tell a story, it just don't come from you naturally. It comes from a spirit that bring that story and put it up in there. You just can't write a book. The spirit bring it to you. That's not knowledge. That's common sense. Yeah, Yeah, like I said, a lot of people that have mistreated people, took people's life and got away with it. Oh, boy. Just wait till they get ready to leave this world. It can be sooner than they think it is. It can be sooner than they think it is. There's so many stories out there, boy. I mean, horrifying than the ones I told. These are true stories. And when you write a book, they don't just come there. I had wrote this story about 11 years ago on my Facebook about this shoe in a haunted house. Beautiful shoe. And it was sitting right there when you walk in the doorway. You can see it in the hallway. But see the point? You don't know who used to wear those shoes. You don't know who used to wear them. And people took these shoes. And tried to sell them. They was worth 100, probably 1,000. But whoever put them on, it cost them their life. So many things happened to people who used to wear those shoes. They never got rid of them shoes. And one lady wanted to be buried in the shoes. And and they did. They buried her in the shoes, but When they dug her up, the shoes was not on her feet. It was just them shoes. It was cursed. So you have to be careful. Let me tell you something. You have to be very careful when you go out to auctions and yard sales. You got to be careful what you buy from other people or find on the street. It might be pretty, it might look good, but you got to be very careful. Very careful. Because this story was told by this little girl. Mother, she said, I seen this beautiful playhouse out there. You know, beautiful. It had the dolls in it, and it was a old house. Very old, but it was beautiful, antique. Who would throw something away like that and gave it to a little girl? And her little girl, a couple of days later, would see this other little girl. She had a horrifying looking face. I mean, a horrifying looking face. And Mama come running in and see the little girl over there. See, and she looked and she seen her. And she seen that little girl. But see, that little girl died a horrifying death. A horrifying death. And she wanted her house back. And her family, ancestors, or whatever you call them, they put the house out because that house, it was beautiful, but you understand, so many bad things would happen. So they did away with the house. And so what that lady did, she couldn't figure out why. And she had her house blessed and all that. That didn't do no good. The little girl wanted her house back. She was non-existent, but she wanted her house back. And what they did, somebody told her, a lady, I think she was a gypsy woman. A gypsy woman told this lady, that house that you got is of a little girl from the 1900s. That's right. And she wanted her house back. Because if she wanted you to have it, she would have gave it to you. She would have told her mother before she died, I want such and such to have my house. And she wouldn't have bothered you. But you got her house without her consent, and she's very angry. And she asked her, what should I do? Give her house back. Put it back where you got it from. And before you get anything, research it. Look at the name on it. And research that. There's so many horrifying stories out here. So many horrifying stories that you wouldn't even believe that it's out here. And when that lady said that prayer years ago, you begin to see people as they are. That's what she means. So you can see them as they are. And that's what brings Joe back. I call all the demons Joe. They got different names. And they come back. Look at here, look at here, look at here. You're racist in your school. You're racist on your job. Look at here, look at here. And Joe is not the only one that's in this world now. They made it more easy to find these people who are like them. And they don't want you to have anything. They don't want you to support them. They don't want you to buy nothing from their business. They don't want you to go to their house. They don't want you to clean their house. They don't want you to do anything. Because they'll follow you back home. And this when I look at videos on YouTube, ghost stories. I'm fascinated with that. And you can see them. But you have to be careful what you watch on TV. Because the same spirit you see in that house can come to your house. People don't believe in that. People say, oh, you crazy, or you stupid, you're ignorant, this, that don't happen, God, this and that. You're not God. These things exist. And sometimes they take on forms as other people just to get close to you. You better know who is who. You better know that. You don't know if they're human or not. People don't believe that. People call you crazy, they call you stupid, they call you ignorant. Well, a lot of people have died. And these spirits took them back. When they murdered someone, when they raped and destroyed their life, when people took up for other people. They took them back. See, they know the time. These spirits know the time that you're going to die. And they go show it right there waiting on you. Can't nobody see them but you. People don't believe that. Oh, this is scary. You shouldn't have told my child. The truth is just the truth. Because even little children that was hurt and murdered for no reason. And people got away with it. They come back too. One man, it just hit me again. One man, he had did something horrible to a child. The child died. And that child, this is true story. This happened in 1991. 91. In a country town. You know, country towns, sometimes they have about 6,000 or 10,000 people, I guess. I don't know. And he heard this little boy laughed about it and joked about it and ha 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 about it, didn't care nothing about it. And his family was hurt. Grandmama had a heart attack because of her pain. She couldn't stand the pain that this man had caused the family for no reason. Got away with it, with pat on the back, joked about it, laughed about it. That's what they did. And one day his wife got pregnant. And had a little boy. Well, I can't remember this. The spirit says the little boy's name was Tom. And when she had a little boy, and he was 1, 2, 3, and 5 years old, his daddy was doing something, building a playhouse for his sister or something like that. And that little boy walked in there. His eyes was blue, but the spirit of this other little boy named Tom that died, that he murdered, his eye was brown. But what happened, his son's eyes was red. He said, Daddy, why you kill me? Why'd you take my life like that? Who you think you is? And you got away with that. Why'd you do that? He said, his daddy was scared. He turned around and said, what's your name? Tom. Well, see, his name was Timothy or something like that. Timothy or something. And he said, he was scared to turn it because he felt his hair stand up on his arm. He said, you took my life and you laughed about it, you joked about it. I don't understand you, Daddy. Now I'm back. I'm your son. And you got hell to pay. And he was so scared. He started bringing him. He said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. He said, please don't take my son away from me. Don't allow my son to hurt people when he grow up. Please don't. I'm sorry. He said, it's too late for that. And he walked out the room. And when his son grew up at 15, he's going to dig up graves and chop up the people that was already there and chop them up. And the sheriff would come by, your son got a problem, you need to put him in a mental home. All these people that done these bad things, thought they got away with it. They laugh about it on their deathbed. I should have did this to that person. I should have did that. But what happened when they took their last breath, that's when they took them back when they was a child and to what they have done to people. Most of the bad things they have done, and they make them look at that over and over for eternity. People didn't care. People joked about that. When they go to sleep, this lady, this lady's house. The house was locked up. Locked up. The door, the key, everything. You couldn't get out. You had to have that key. Came back that next day and found her dead. Found her in her bed. And they looked around with nothing disturbed. With nothing thrown around. But that rocking chair, that antique rocking chair was rocking by itself. And she died with her eyes open like she had seen, I don't know, ghosts. The window was locked. The doors were locked. With nothing disturbed. Sometimes people, that loved one that you hurt, they come back for you. See, people make mockery, make jokes out of things. This, that, come and get me. And they will. See, they don't come, just like you doing some type of little thing where you draw this little thing on the floor, and you call these demons out, they don't come back right then. But they're coming. They don't come back when you want it so you can show yourself and all that. No. They come back. And you going on about your business 6 or 7 weeks later, a month later. But they walking. You had them, you disturbed them. That's what angered them. They sure come back. Trust me, they come back. People not bad or not gangster and stuff like that. So they make jokes of this. They make jokes. I tell you what, keep making the jokes. Keep laughing. Keep making fun. Keep on doing the bad things you do. When they catch up with you, it's not funny no more. You don't have to be in a place by yourself. Here, you and some friends can be in a place. Um, all these things just keep coming back. These girls in the graveyard. They used to pick with this girl. This girl they used to pick with, she committed suicide. And they used to make a mark around her. You could this and that and push her around, and parents couldn't do nothing about it. But this girl, if you go back and I think you see it on my Facebook. Go back 10, 11 years ago. I don't know if they removed it or what. Cause some people used to tell them, take a story. I went to Yahoo and wrote a story, a horrifying story, 2 of them. And as you know, grown people came at me and said, you should have never wrote that. And this man was terrified. I can tell what he was saying to me. You should have never wrote that. I said, did you see the title of what I wrote? He said, yeah. I said, why did you read it? Because he was curious. And one little boy, he said, he was 10 years old, said, your story scared me. I said, well, people bring, with spirit bring a story, you write them. You think nothing of it. You don't just sit down as a human and just think about a story. They'll run to you by spirit. I got an idea. Yeah, that spirit bring you that idea. See, let me tell you something. What is the most goodest thing in the world? Common sense or book sense? Common sense. Common sense is the best thing. It overweighs books, and you can learn how to rewrite, spell, and count. Out don't mean nothing. But common sense keep you safe. Common sense. That's wise. It's millions of things out there, and it give you a headache. And sometimes, I think I told one story on my Facebook, about 10, 11 years ago. I had to tell the story because it was given me about a certain spirit. And I said, if I don't tell this story, something can happen to me. So I told the story. When spirit hear that you tell a story, they come to you. Tell my story. Tell that person that did this to me that I'm coming after them on their deathbed, on their family deathbed, this, that, and that, this. And so you're living good, got a nice little position, got kids, but I'm coming. I'm coming at them. And I said, like I said, and I think Facebook and Yahoo took my stories down because they horrifying people. I didn't know how I made it. My husband, he was on his deathbed. He was 82 years old. And I started writing a story because, see, that was my comfort zone to write stories. I like writing stories because you bring them, the spirit bring them to me, and I write them. And I would erase it and write it. And sometimes I just throw it down there. I throw it out of there. I throw it. And it don't make any sense at all. But when I go back, when everybody go to bed, I call it my comfort zone. I have to go there, erase it, and I correct my grammar and everything. Because I know, once I write it, somebody will see it to make a profit out of it. And they did. Like I told you, I wrote this story, would you like to ride in my limousine? That means you're not alive. That means you're dead. And I told the story. And I tell from the crib, I think they took it and turned it around to something else. I don't know why. But all I did was want to write stories. I used to tell them, I like write stories for y'all. I tell my Facebook friend, I like writing stories just for y'all. And one man said, oh, I love the story. I heard real story about slavery. Things that was wrong to me. I didn't know nothing about. I was born in 59. The stories I tell was in the 17, 16, and 1800s. And it's about the story I wrote on Facebook. It was about this family that stayed in the 1400s. And they had a baby. They had wings growing out his shoulder blades in the back. And if they still had that story, you would see what I was talking about. But like I said, I used to write the story, and I used to kind of not I just throw it on there, and then I look at it, and then I retype it over and make a story that makes sense. Because, see, sometimes you have something in your mind, the Spirit brings you so many things, and they're just throwing out, throwing out, throwing out. And you write about it. People wrote certain books. They didn't use knowledge. That wasn't knowledge. It was the Spirit that brought it to them. People don't believe in that. People call you crazy, stupid, dumb, but like I said, and one Spirit said, keep doing what you're doing. Keep on being where you've been. I'll find you. I'll find you. There's a point to different trees and stuff like that. There's a point to different rivers and where they found bodies at. Those are their spirit. Their spirit. Keep on telling your story. Keep on laughing. Keep on making a mockery out of people. Keep it up. We go get you. No matter who you are, but we go get you. And I never understood that, and my husband loved the stories I used to tell. He got up out of his bed. He said I wrote about the Titanic, and I don't know why they removed it. I don't know why, but it was horrifying. I used to write about different things, and I didn't just sit down and think about it. These stories are brought to you by different spirits, but people don't believe that. People don't believe that. They don't believe it. And my husband looked at me, he's a love the story. Sometimes he was funny, and sometimes he was not so funny. And it's just like if you're a spiritual person, I'm not what you call spiritual, I'm a good person, I believe in treating people right. Even though people, look down on you, racist towards you, it has nothing to do with white, it's just people in general. They treat you bad, mistreat you, talk about you, make it hard for you, do all these bad things, not knowing that you can pay for everything you do. Everything. And they call them, what they call this, deathbed story. And they be talking smart until they die, but when they die, whoa. Now, I just said it's not a good idea. People say something to you, pray about it. Pray about it and believe, because I have prayed a lot of times, and wonderful things have happened for me. Wonderful things, good things I didn't expect. But don't mistreat people because you're in the crowd. Don't try to show off. Don't try to be gangster. Because them same people, the same spirit, standing right beside you looking at you, do that. Let me tell you this. It just hit me. This spirit, these bad kids. These bad kids was doing bad things. Shooting up, robbing people, or even kill someone. And see, about them being the age they are, they was able to get out and go out and continue to commit crime. But this what happened. This what happened to these kids. What was that? It's so horrifying. This what happened to them. Something had came at them. Something had came at them. I'm trying to think what it was. It came at them. All of them dead now. All 15 of them are dead. And they had done horrifying things. I can't think what it was. It was so horrifying. I can't think what it was. But anytime, oh yeah, that's what it was. This man, they said, I was told by Spirit that this man was Satan. He come in any form. He sent his demons out in any form. So get many as you can. I don't care if they young or old, what they were, what nation doesn't matter. Bring them back to me. And they did. What that shit happened? What happened? And they came back at him. They came back and they got them. I'm trying to think because sometimes this story is so old. And because they used to think they was bad. They thought they were tough. Shit, I can't remember that. Can't remember. But they Spirit did come back at these kids. At different forms. And what happened They was in a forum. They thought, this is a friend of mine. I want y'all guys to meet this friend right here. He real cool. He been in and out of juvenile. He been in and out of jail. Yeah, he did some bad things. He can be a part of our game or something like that. And they had no idea that that kid been dead for 25 years. 25 years, I kid you not. And he looked normal. Didn't feel any kind of hair standing on it or nothing like that. And he said, yeah, let's go and do this tonight. Let's go and rob this place tonight. And that's what these 10 kids did. And what happened, that person that's supposed to have been flesh and blood was not. That was one of Satan's little demons that came back to claim souls, to lead them to be killed, so he can claim their soul. And they went up there and and they all got shot and killed. And for this boy died, he said, I thought you said that one person was gonna be there. It was 4 SWAT team members there. This man got tired of being robbed, and they killed all of them. And his eyes turned red, and 3 people in each one of his eyes. Yet the call said his eyes. What happened? He said, that's the name of the game in hell. That's the name of the game. We need your souls. I'm supposed to tell you lies, because we need souls. Hell is big enough to house 1 million to 2 million people and more. I tell you anything, make you think, go and do this, go and do that. And when you do it, you die. And when you die, I come and collect your soul and take it back, and I'm rewarded. There's no brimstone, but it's hot. Because we got a job for all you kids, all you old people who up to no good. We got a job. It's just like I'm hiring you, but you go lose your life because we go claim your soul. We go get you. You can pray all you want to. You went out committed all this crime and did all these bad things, but we coming at you. We coming to get you. And don't you forget that. That's right. And then, let me tell you something. There's so many horrifying things out there. These spirits bring it to you. You think, how'd she write that book? How'd she do this? How that? Spirit bring you these things. You don't just sit there with your little brain all over. No, they bring it to you. Things come to you. If you're a good person, good things will come to you. If you're a bad person, sooner or later, something will happen. Just keep on doing. Like I told one person, keep on doing what you're doing. It'll catch up with you. You can't ask, God forgive me, God forgive me. Well, we'll see. But one thing, God forgive you. But you got to pay for what you done. That's why I never mistreat anybody. That's why I always be to myself. I have a family. I don't trust them. They could be good people. I laugh and talk with them sometimes. I never let my guard down. Because people don't believe spirits are walking. People preach about with spirits in heaven, spirits in hell. No. There ain't no heaven and hell. They're right here. And sometimes spirits stay to protect their loved ones. They get permission from God. And He allowed that permission. Their spirit can go into anybody to protect their loved ones, their children. These are horrifying things. Let me tell you something. These stories are horrifying. And like I said, when people tell a story, they don't just get it from up here. Spiritually, spirits bring it to them. And like I said, these things are just horrible. It make your head hurt. And so many people do bad things, and they family be praying for them. They done bad things, and they praying and praying and praying and praying. And people who are spiritual minded can hear that, and they would talk to them and say, "Look, you need to stop doing what you're doing." They would go on a YouTube or something like that. You need to stop doing what you're doing, please, because it irritates us, because we can feel that, because they got an open spiritual mind. But like I said, people don't have to believe what I'm saying. No, you don't have to believe me. No, Well, one thing, I would never mistreat nobody. I love when God bless you. I love it when he bless you. It's not that I love what people do. He can work through people. God can work through medicine. People don't have to, God don't have to come and announce himself, here I am, and this is how I look. He ain't got to do nothing. He's a supreme being. We don't know how he look. We assumed how he look. But if you want to, you can assume it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. But I'm about to go now. And like I said, these spirits just like a magnet. When you do bad things, they go start coming to you. And walking around in your house, in your tub, they be in your car, you can't see them. But on your deathbed, you'll be able to see all of them. All the bad things. I told you to do this. I told you to do that. I told you to do this. And they look at that, oh, you did something good. Okay. Yeah, that's what you think. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It pays to use common sense. It pays to. People say, oh, you crazy. Oh, you stupid. Oh, you cuckoo. Okay. Excuse me. I'm not cuckoo. Ain't nothing wrong with me. It's just that these things happen. They do. Only thing you got to pray and just be a good person and change your life for the better. You see somebody walking down the street because you got 4 kids and you ain't got no food, don't mean you go and rob them, take their food. That's not their problem. That's your problem. Because you use common sense when you laying down, excuse me, having sex. The children suffering because of you. You made kids that you couldn't take care of. You didn't have no job. She didn't have no job. All you had to do is wrap it up. And a lot of people have been hurt, been mistreated. Life has been toughened. But those people, they pay for it later on. They'll never think God forgive you and you don't pay for what you done. I'm going to leave it alone because this right here, it mentally drains you. But back in the day, 11, 10 years ago, I don't know, about 11 years, 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, I used to write these stories. And it was fascinating. And my grammar wasn't good, but somehow, I don't know how in the world my grammar improved, but they had this little dragon speech. And when you speak into it, you have to speak into say properly, say the word properly. Because sometimes you can check behind yourself. You can say, I'm going downtown. It would tell you, I went down, did this and that. See, this is the way you had to learn your voice. You had to learn it because your voice is changing. Probably you lost a couple of teeth where you pronounce certain words. But you have to check behind yourself when you write stories. But like I said, if you go back 10, 11 years ago, I don't know, they took it out because people was terrified by what I wrote. But I wrote some funny stuff too. But I thought I'd just throw that and share that with you. Because, when somebody, pass away, you take flowers. When I go and visit certain people at the graveyard, I take and clean the graves off. And I show respect. I used to lay flowers on their grave. And I was passed by the graveyard, and I said, ooh. I was passed by the graveyard. I said, the graveyard looked nice. Somebody cut the grass and put pretty flowers on them. I give them compliments. I never said anything bad to hurt anybody. If I did, I was a kid, and that was very stupid and ignorant of me. And when I do something wrong, I chastise myself. Chastise myself when I do something wrong. But, yeah, these stories are true. But, they're horrifying. There's more horrifying stories out there than you think. I tell you what, if you think I'm kidding, start writing horrifying stories. Just start writing out your head. You can write about anything. A diploma. Someone who passed away, that diploma. A bed. A sink. A closet. Just start writing something. Just put something in your head and say, well, okay, let me write about this. And watch how those spirits start connecting to you just like magnets. Because they want you to tell their story. All you got to do. You can pick up some glasses that are 100 years old and write about that. They're going to come to you. They're going to tell you their story. They want the world to know what happened to them and what people did to them. But that's it. That's it. Bye-bye.